Well, the St. Louis Cardinals are officially eliminated from playoff contention, and now we've got plenty of stories out there. Sonny Gray definitely open to a trade now, which is a reversal of where he was at before. Nolan Arenado is expected to expand his list of potential trade destinations. You keep hearing from multiple players within the Cardinals organization that they're very aware of the rebuild that is coming here. It's different than even last year from the reset. It is now truly in the midst of a rebuild. So we're going to talk about Sonny Gray. We're going to talk about Nolan Arenado. And honestly, today I want to talk about Brendan Donovan today. There's a lot of chatter going on out there about, is he the key piece this offseason that's moved to accelerate a rebuild? I have my opinions on why maybe that shouldn't be the case. I'm curious where Andrew and Sandy land today. We'll talk about all of this and more on this episode of Deal on the Cards. Welcome into Dealing the Cards. Josh and Andrew here as always. Sandy's popping in right now. Look at that. Perfect timing. He just wanted to skip the intro. Oh, yeah. Well, I got thrown into the corner.
Had to make it back.
He's like, I'm so sick of these intros. I'm just going to wait it out. And
yeah, I love our intro. I love our new intro.
Yeah. Credit to Andrew on that. Just a quick programming update. Again, we're Dealing the Cards. We go live multiple times a week over here. We do special fun videos. You guys, I should have drank some water with you guys. You all went for the drink of the same
time. Water the last time.
I guess let's just hit it one more time. Next time you see us, Mo will no longer be the president of baseball operations. So here's kind of the slate of what's happening. We're recording today on Sunday. There will be a brand new, super cool video that Andrew's put together of the first half of Mo's tenure and all the trades he made, which is definitely the better half of it. So it's more exciting video. We'll have a more pessimistic and not fun video looking at the back half. But Andrew's put a ton of work into it. If you're a member of our channel, which you can become one on our YouTube page, you can get early access to that video, but it's coming live on Sunday. Monday, we might be going live after Mozeliak's end of career, I guess, press conference, what we'll call it. Maybe we'll do our end of year tier list of that too. And then the plan is to go live on Tuesday after Chaim Bloom and Bill DeWitt's end of season press conference. It's opening up to the offseason. That's where the real meat is probably going to come from in terms of Bloom's first public comments. Since last year, this time, it's been a year since we've heard from Bloom. Kind of crazy. Which I want to get into that a little bit too on the front end, because we got some Mo shared some stuff about how this whole transition year really wasn't his idea. And so we've given him a lot of crap for that, not necessarily just us, but in general, and not super fair to him. And then we'll have some more content coming. So if you enjoy that, you enjoy just Cardinals talk, we're gonna have plenty of it this offseason. Like and subscribe, helps you out a ton. Share it with your friends, share it with people you know. Well, plenty of guests this offseason as well. But real quick, just before we get into the trade talk, I don't know if you guys heard this from Mo's appearance on TMA on 101 ESPN. He was asked about the transition year, and he led off by saying, which no one said this before, so it's not anyone's fault that we didn't know this, but I think it's fair and helpful context that basically the part of the reason, and a pretty big part of the reason, that Mo stuck around one more year was because Chaim Bloom had some personal things he had to take care of. And he wasn't ready to step into the role full time. And so the Cardinals wanted Chaim Bloom. Chaim Bloom wanted to be here, but Chaim Bloom couldn't start it until this year. And so they came up with this plan where Mo was going to steady the ship and keep it going in the right direction. And whatever time Bloom had would be focused on revamping player development. And he had to focus on the major league side of things. So it allowed him to be around and start things, but not be fully involved yet. And honestly, that's probably Bloom's asking, right? Like, if he has personal things he could take care of, I'm sure it wasn't necessarily Mo and DeWitt who were like, oh yeah, we'd love you to take over the organization, but please wait a year. It really does sound like that was kind of Bloom's MO. Does that change anything for you guys about why this transition year is handled? Because honestly, think about it, people are probably be like, oh, you should fire Mo anyways. And it's like, I can't think of a more chaotic situation than to name his predecessor a year from now, but then fire the guy who's in the seat and let someone else run it for 1 year. That seems weird. Yeah. So does that change at all your guys' tune about how, again, not change what Mo did this year? That doesn't defend wrong actions, but does it at all explain or make you feel better about the idea that he stayed one more year?
Yeah, I think it helps us with the process. Also, though, I've been fine with this transition year before. I feel like I've talked about that. I see it as a positive. I think what better way to let a guy get a feel and get his feet wet and get this figured out. And, we've talked about how the St. Louis market presents some unique challenges in terms of what's available to you and what's expected of you, right? That's not necessarily the case in all places. Maybe you have more resources or different expectations elsewhere. And on top of that, the most broken thing that we've said over and over again is player development. And so if that's what he's best at, Isn't it kind of nice? Like normally a guy like Chaim Bloom, who's a guru, a prospect genius, as people have called him before, right? Like he's so good at that, which is why he now gets to be a Pobo or a GM. Well, you lucked into getting him in his former role, like what he's best at for a year. I think that's awesome, right? Like if those guys, because he's so great at that, he's had these other opportunities, and you got to have the version of him that Tampa Bay got to have, which is really cool. I think that's he got to actually do what he is best at for a year for you. And on top of that, it gave him a chance to familiarize himself with things, get things working again. I think that's all awesome. And we've already seen some of the dividends come from that with the system taking big steps forward this year, right? Like Springfield just won the Texas League Championship the other day. That was awesome. And they're a really, really good team. And I think some of what you saw, some of the growth you saw there from maybe a guy like even like a Josh Baez, right? Like this is something that maybe Chaim's, hands-on approach with the system this year was able to yield some of that. Also, he just gets to get more integrated, gets more prepared for this. I'm all in on it. And hearing that it was something that Chaim wanted to happen, that makes me feel even better about the decision-making process. I'm very happy with things.
Andrew, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever really complained that, this was happening. Obviously, you would have liked for Chaim Bloom to take over. But, okay. Somebody's echoing.
Sounds better now.
But yeah, I think like obviously like personal things, off the field things, like that's more important than whatever he could be doing as the Pobo. So like I understand that. But yeah, I didn't really question it. I thought a lot of the reasons Mo was here was to make a lot of these difficult decisions, trading away some of these franchise players before Bloom stepped in. Obviously, they weren't able to do that with Arenado. I don't know how much of that is Mo's fault, how much of that is necessarily just the situation being kind of terrible all around. Obviously, Contreras and Gray weren't willing to move in the offseason. Gray might be willing to move now. Contreras, who knows? Hopefully he's willing to move, to be honest. I don't really see a real need for him on the roster at this point if you're not going to be good next year. But there were definitely things that he could have done. And I think, yeah, he made a lot of mistakes in his last year. There are things that he could have done to get this team to wild card contention. You look at the Cardinals are like 3.5 games out of the wild card. They're not going to make the playoffs, obviously, as of last night, but they're within striking distance, and he could have done things to make it better. I don't know if Bloom necessarily would have done those. I don't know. I would like to think that he would have traded Eric Fetty if he was in that role. I would like to think that he would have spent that money wisely on other pitchers, relievers, maybe another guy to help bolster the lineup. But at the end of the day, there weren't a lot of expectations going into this season, and I don't think it's fair to blame that all on Mo. I think ownership has a lot to do with the fact that they only spent $2 million. So I'm not really mad about that. I don't know where the discourse is coming from that Mo should have been fired before the season even started. I mean,
it's more the vocal minority.
Yeah, I still see Fire Mo in our comments on Twitter, which is kind of funny because like I don't think these people actually know what's going on, but
no, they do. I mean, just people just want it to be over with at this point.
Yeah, but like, if you fire Mo today, or like you just let him leave, and like what's going to happen? Like
that would be kind of funny.
There's no trades to be made. Like nothing can. You're not going to do anything.
They shouldn't do it, but it would be kind of funny if they're like 3 days before.
Like, what are they going to do?
And they're just like, "Oh, you're fired."
Yeah,
it's like what? Hey, I mean, Samuel put this in there. It's like they did say winning wasn't the focus this year, which is true, but like you could have done things like the Eric Fetty side of things. You could trade in the offseason, which would have accelerated your retool slightly and put you in a better position, or just not let him implode for like 5 straight starts that cost you at least puts you in more of a deficit. It doesn't mean you win those 5 games, but it's like, you're sending a message to the clubhouse that you wanted to save money and find a suitor for Fetty rather than put yourself in a position, because they did start saying, especially after they couldn't move Nato, Gray, and Contreras, oh, well, we'd like to be sneaky good this year. We'd like to surprise some people. So they did start throwing those expectations back on themselves, but whatever. So with 3 main topics I think we want to talk about today, right? Sonny Gray and the potential of him being dealt, what that looks like for them. Arenado potentially opening up acknowledging that he needs to open up his trade destination. So there should be more teams on the table. Again, they have to be interested in him, but he should have more options that he's interested in this offseason. And I think the big one's Brendan Donovan, where a lot of people are starting to have that discourse of, well, if you're entering a rebuild and this is a long process and you've got a guy who's going to be 29 next year and is 2 years away from free agency and he's technically one of your best players, do you cash in on that? I think I'm in the minority in believing that Brendan Donovan should stay here if they can extend him, and I'll give my reasons why. And I'm not saying people are wrong or like it's crazy to believe they should trade him, but I am surprised that it's so overwhelming at this point in that direction. But let's start with the Sonny Gray side of things. So, Sandy, I know you're one of the biggest Sonny Gray fans there have been out there. Your John Kingness is probably the only thing that surpasses Mr. Sonny Gray. And I was so excited for him to be a Cardinal. And overall, it's been a pretty good time in St. Louis. I think it's been underwhelming for what you hoped for, especially this year. But, I mean, there's still a lot of underlying metrics both years. This guy isn't cratering. There's some bad luck involved. There's some things he needs to do better, but he's still one of the best swing and miss guys in all baseball. Still knows how to mow through a lineup when he's on. He has some bad starts here and there. But do you think it's the right thing to be exploring a trade for Sonny Gray, especially now that he's open to it? And if so, do you think he's a guy that, I guess not see a guy that can get you something, but do you think the Cardinals are going to prioritize moving that salary, like fully moving that salary and not getting?
They're moving them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. Like, it has been a good time to have Sonny Gray here. I've enjoyed watching him pitch. Unfortunately, though, it's I don't know. You were never going to get the version of Sonny Gray that almost won the Cy Young Award in 2023. Like, that just wasn't going to happen. But you got a darn good pitcher for 2 years, right? 2 years ago, he was excellent. And this year he was fine. Like, he was still good. I think he finished with like a 4.3 ERA or something, if I look that up real quick. But you still got a very solid pitcher, a guy who probably was better than that ERA let on. Yeah, there was a homer problem this year, which was a bummer. But he was the best pitcher in your rotation, Yep. I think as we look back on the Sonny Gray, because I think you're right. I think he's going to be gone, and I think they're going to prioritize moving the money. I don't think you're going to get much back. I think if they hadn't been stupid and instead of backloading this contract had front-loaded it, then you'd be talking about getting a prospect back. Because I think Sonny Gray for $15 million next year, teams would look at that and say, hey, that's a bargain, right? But now you're looking at Sonny Gray for $35 million. And Samuel here says there's a buyout as well.
Yeah, so next year you have to pay $5 million to get rid of him.
Yeah, so this is a $40 million player.
Yep.
Sonny Gray is not a $40 million pitcher. I love him. I love watching him. He just got to 200 strikeouts last night for the season, which is awesome. But look, any pitcher who's not putting up something around like a 2.7, right? That's not a $40 million pitcher. It just isn't. And so, yeah, they're going to try to move as much of the money as they can. They're probably going to have to eat some of it for sure, right? I think the fact that it's such a short term, it's only 1 year. So high AAV, but low commitment. That's going to help a little bit, but you're not going to be able to get anything back. And it's going to be a bummer. At least they're going to get the salary off, but it doesn't, like, as a fan, it doesn't matter to me if the Cardinals payroll decreases and they don't get anything back. Like, I'd much rather them buy prospects. They're just not going to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess the flip side of that is which we can't know because we don't have a crystal ball. So I don't blame people for assuming the worst. But if they were trying to be lean in these years, knowing that then because they're not going to make as much money in these years, that they will be investing in future years, even coming off of down financial years, then I would see the idea of moving money now because they're going to reinvest it in a way later that they maybe wouldn't because they spent more money in these years. But not knowing what they're going to do, then to your point, it'll leave a terrible taste in your mouth when it's like you could have bit $10-15 million of that contract, 20 million of it, and brought it down to a number where it's like, yeah, a team's actually going to give you a good prospect for it because you're not paying enough. But they're not. To your point, they're not going to do that. They're probably going to find the way to pay him the least amount of money and get a flyer prospect rather than
they'll get nothing.
Yeah, and flyer prospect is in like literally just something back in their direction to make the trade go.
Yeah. I'm not asking you to go get like Luis Angel Acuna like the Mets did when they just they ate all the money of the big deal. It was the Scherzer deal, right?
Yeah.
And they ate like everything. Like, I'm not asking you to do that, but maybe eat some of it, right? Also, I know I've seen the Cardinals spend money on worse things. Okay. I they spend $20 million on Miles Michaelis 2 years in a row. Why not spend $20 million and pay down over half of Sonny Gray's deal and get something back? Right?
Yeah.
Like Sonny Gray is way below market value if he's $15 million plus a buyout. That's like really good value, actually. I think if I was, I'd be really interested.
So here's 2 points back to back in the chat that I was about to highlight, and then Samuel did. So what we just talked about sounds like Mo talk, but also sounds like DeWitt talk. So that's part of this too. Is Mo's gone, but the DeWitts are not, and how Heim will operate. Maybe Bloom would get more creative than a Mo would, where Mo's like, I just got to move the money because that's all I can do. But maybe in Bloom's case, he'd be like, you know what, we're gonna have to replace the starter anyways. We go out and we trade him for a different bad contract where a team like the Phillies gets to upgrade the rotation, or like the Diamondbacks or whoever sends you a bad contract that you end up saving money off Gray's deal, but then you get a prospect in return. So you're saving money and getting a prospect. I could see Bloom being way more creative, but part of me believes that's more of how he might operate in a couple years when he has more finances to work with. It really does feel like they're going to keep cutting this payroll a little bit more over the next few years. Now, I'm of the belief they're going to reinvest and get back into it. I don't think they're preparing to be the Brewers and the Rays where they never spend again. But I do think during the lean years, they're not going to be looking to invest money to help the future. Like they'll be trying to do everything they can to build for the future while spending basically the least amount of money possible. Andrew, go ahead.
What is the payroll? Like how low can this payroll get? Could you imagine?
Like 140 right now, maybe down to near 100.
It could get below 100, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious if it would or not. I don't necessarily think it couldn't. But they cut $40 million last year. And but then they also were trying to move Nato and they didn't get to do it.
If they can move Arenado, because I think the deal is, I think if Sonny Gray is out the door and Arenado's out the door, they're going to try to move. I don't know if Contreras would want to move, but like they'll try.
That's $50 million.
They'll ask him. Miles Michaelis is off the books.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot of money. Your Steven Matz is off the books. That's another 12 or 14, I guess, this year because it was like backloaded.
Yeah.
That's that's a lot of money off the books. Eric Fetty's, $10 million or whatever is off the books. They're probably not going to sign like anybody.
Yeah, you have 19-18, so like 36 million between Michaelis, Matz, and Fetty that came off the books. Helsley had like 8 million, so that's in the 40s. You're gonna have to eat a lot of Nato's contract, so you're gonna be taking on a lot of that money. But let's say they save 10 million total.
Yeah.
So that's like 50 something million, and then it's Gray. They're probably gonna be trying to move as much money as possible. So let's say they can move 25 million of it, and that's like $65-70 million that they're moving off the books, which would put them under. Yeah, that's without Contreras, puts them under 100 million.
They could get to like 80 million.
See, this is why I want to get to the Donovan stuff later, but I'm like, they can move so much money off the books where it really doesn't. It's not crazy at all to extend Brendan Donovan and pay him a pretty penny in the first few years, knowing that you're really not spending money elsewhere and you're not paying him much later, even when. Anyways, I'll get into that later. But Andrew, do you have any other thoughts on the Sonny Gray side of things? Like, do you think he's going to be a desirable asset? And again, we know in terms of he's not going to get you a lot because of that contract. But do you think teams are going to be calling? Do you think a deal gets done?
Yeah, I mean, I think teams are definitely going to be interested. He's a starter that's going to give you a lot of swing and miss. I think he got particularly unlucky this year in terms of FIPS and xERAs. Like, it wasn't necessarily the results that you want to see, but the peripherals look good. So you could definitely see teams try to get him as like a number 2, number 3 starter. And obviously that money is going to have to be eaten. The AAV on that was like 25 million a year, and the Cardinals so far have paid him like 35 million total, I think, based on the math. So I wouldn't be surprised if they at least ate up to that amount. So like they give the team like a 25 million AAV. I think that makes sense. Now, I don't know how much they're going to be willing to eat on top of that. But this is like an asset that I would say, like, he wasn't hurting the team this season, but he also wasn't really doing what you paid him to do, right? Like, he didn't give you – if he had given you the numbers that he gave you last season, Cardinals probably win a couple more games. I'm not saying they're in playoff contention, but they're, like, probably closer than they are right now. And obviously he's getting up there in age, but I do think that there is probably a team that will take that money off for you and, give you a prospect that you might like. And, with Bloom and his prospect evaluation, that's what he's good at. I wouldn't be surprised if they got somebody back that was exciting. Like, obviously, probably not going to be somebody as good as Sonny Gray, but you're not going to have to pay him as much as Sonny Gray either.
Yeah.
So I don't really think that should be the expectation. I don't know. This doesn't really excite me either way, because it just, to me, seems like, the DeWitts are going to save some money, and I don't really care if they save money or not, to be honest. Like, that does not matter to me. That should not matter to any fans. That really should not matter to anyone except Bill DeWitt.
It's irrelevant.
So,
unless it affects things later, I think that does matter then. But I mean, to your point, we won't know until later, so there's no reason to be celebrate it.
This feels like a nothing burger to me. When I heard this, I was like, okay, cool. They won't have Sonny Gray next year. They're not going to reinvest that money, so who cares?
Yeah, it's not getting reinvested. It's going to, but also like the Cardinals were 21-11 in Sonny Gray's 32 starts. Like they were really good when he pitched, and for a team that's going to finish like 3 or 4 or 4 games under 500, it can get a lot worse. It can get a lot worse when you don't have a guy going out there and winning 10 more games than he loses.
Yeah,
I mean that's a really good record. And not a lot of pitchers in baseball pitched in 21 wins this year.
Yeah, and a couple of things over his last 2 years. Again, it wasn't what we exactly wanted from Sonny Gray for sure. So I'd say it's been underwhelming, but he still covered 347 innings last 2 years. So he averaged 173 innings a year, which is huge in today's game. Like you get 120, 130 out of a starter and you're like, whoopee. And it's like he got 173 per year out of him, 404 strikeouts in 347 innings. So he's striking guys out too. So he's an innings eater who has swing and miss. Well, sorry, not innings eater. He's a guy who makes his starts because he doesn't go super deep into games. But she's, again, doesn't mean guarantee health next year, but he has been healthy the last 2 years. Strikeout whiz, 28.4% strikeout rate. That 407 ERA over the last 2 years isn't pretty, but 3.27 FIP and 2.95 xFIP, 5.4% walk rate. There are a lot of encouraging signs, that strikeout rate, that point to, again, he's not number one anymore. He might not even be a true number 2 on a top end rotation. But for most rotations, I think he fits in as your number 2, and especially as a number 3, where it's like if you are, I'm trying to think of just random team, and you acquired him as your game 3 starter in the postseason, you'd feel really good about Sonny Gray being in that mix. So I think plenty of teams will be interested in. It will likely be frustrating that they don't eat more money to get something in return. But if they turn around and reinvest it into things that matter, then again, I'm not going to celebrate it, but I more so understand it. But if it's really just to cover their butts a little bit here for losing money, then yeah, your point, Andrew and Sandy, no one's going to celebrate that because you're giving away a good player and getting literally the people following team are getting nothing in return, right? It's just, you're just not getting to watch him pitch anymore. That kind of sucks. So,
he's 38-22 over the last 2 years. Okay. Like the Cubs won the division in the shortened season with that record. That's a really good record. That's a total of 16 games over 500 in 2 years. That's a lot. That's a lot of wins that you got out of this guy. And it can get a lot worse because I get the side, the stats weren't always as great as they could be with Sonny Gray, but he's winner. And when he lost, he really lost. He had some games where he just imploded and you got blown out this year. There were some bad starts, but there were 6 bad starts all year. The other 25 starts were really good, and they pretty much always gave you a chance to win. And look, you already have to replace guys in the rotation. Moving on from Sonny Gray, if you don't get a starting pitcher back, you're going to have to replace another guy. And we've seen how the Cardinals have done that. Now, granted, it's the Bloom era, so I don't know. But it can always get a lot worse, and you can always pay someone to be a lot worse than Sonny Gray's been.
Yeah. Let's move on. Thank a couple of our sponsors of our podcast, and we'll get to Arenado and Donovan side of things. So as always, they're presented by 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet, open 10 to 5 Monday through Fridays, and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. They always have the newest selections of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. You got to go check them out. We know many of you shop there already. And if you haven't shopped there before, you do shop there, make sure you let them know we sent you. They're awesome to work with. Andrew just worked out a fun deal with them for an Eric Fetty 1-of-1. So interesting card collection Andrew's building here. But seriously, they've got a lot of fun stuff in there, and even non-card memorabilia. It's always a good place. And I've enjoyed our interactions with them. Devin and his team are incredible. So make sure you check out 314 Sports Cards Collectibles. And we also want to tell you about one of our other sponsors, that's Underdog Sports. The Deal in the Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. you got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. We can talk about the Cardinals, what their rotation will look like moving forward, plenty of this offseason, or at least in 2026. So we can get into all the options because there are a lot of routes they could go. But just prediction now. Let's all say who we think is going to be their opening day starter in 2026. I might say Miles Michaelis.
That's what I'm going to say. Don't take that. That's my answer. I called it first and people got mad at me. I said it like
you give the take.
It's Miles.
What?
Because if they really are trading Sonny Gray and they just need a cheap starter. Now, I say might be because I think Heim isn't Mo, right? Where he's just going to target the easy bring back guy. So he could go after a fun arm for $5 million. But since you're saying Miles, I'll say, oh boy, Libby.
Justin Verlander.
Okay.
I mean,
Max Scherzer makes more sense than Verlander.
Really?
Scherzer's from
Verlander just wants to pitch. Like he said he wants to pitch till he's like 45, 46. Like, okay.
Oh, dude, we could have Verlander for 3 years in St. Louis. They could take
exactly.
Oh, man.
Hey, sign Verlander and you'll pay him on the condition that he goes into the Hall as a Cardinal.
Plus, there's a quota.
Then we'd have our Hall of Fame uniform.
That's what I'm saying.
So you would with Scherzer, though. But
yeah, but Verlander.
I think Verlander has more upside. I think Scherzer's cooked.
Anyways, so speaking of a future Hall of Famer who won't be in Cardinals uniform next year, Nolan Arenado. So again, we all known for weeks now he's not going to be in St. Louis. We'll get to the Brendan Donovan stuff in a moment. I think it's more interesting. But the big thing is Arenado is openly acknowledging, like, hey, I've got to open up my options. Like, I probably can't go into the thing that's really annoying is you read that piece. He just did an exclusive with Katie Wu, and he kept saying, like, I really hope it's not like last offseason. I really don't want to go through that again. It's like, dude, that was your fault. Yeah, you gave no options and you declined Houston.
You could have been like in a playoff race all year. So
yeah. So, anyways, aside from that, are there any teams? So the original list was Boston, the Yankees, the Tigers, the Boston Yankees, Houston, the Dodgers, and the Padres were the original 5 on his list. Are there any teams you're throwing out there as like, I could see that team wanting to go after Arenado? I'd say my first one is Detroit because they were in the market for a third baseman last year. I've actually got 5 that I'm looking at for a thing I'm writing up, but Detroit seems like a pretty clear fit to me. I know there's a potential they miss the playoffs, which is kind of crazy. They've collapsed as much as they have.
2.5 game lead blown.
Yeah.
If he goes to the Cubs, I'll get to dislike him. I didn't like him. I didn't like Arenado before we traded for him. I didn't really like.
Either.
He wasn't a guy that I liked playing.
He like single-handedly put us out of the playoffs in 2018. Like we would have.
He also like stole the MVP from Matt Carpenter because things like that. Anyway, I didn't.
Wait, Nano never won an MVP.
But like, oh no, he stole the home run title from Matt Carpenter. Because
I was so mad.
He played at Coors, and I was like, bro.
He also that 2018 season Nato had was like actually crazy. Should have gotten more MVP hype than it did.
But I didn't like him before, and I'll be happy to not like him especially if he goes to Chicago.
Okay. Now that he's been a Cardinal, I'll like.
I don't like him. I still don't like him, to be honest.
I like Arenado.
I like Arenado. Come on.
Do you think there's any chance they trade him in the division, which is basically the Cubs or the Brewers?
No.
Right, I don't think so either. But
if you're the Cardinals right now, you cannot trade with Milwaukee. You can't do it right now. You shouldn't. You can't. You're not going to get anything back that you like, especially this kind of trade. This is such a like lose-lose trade for the Cardinals because they're only shipping money off, and you're not even going to trade all the money, and you're not going to get a prospect back. So if you trade this guy within the division, and then he's really good, and you can't even point to who you got back, all you can point to is the money and build with what?
Exactly.
Like, that's terrible.
Exactly. Yep, 100%. Any other teams you guys would throw out there? Seattle, I think, is another interesting one people have mentioned.
The Angels, right?
Yeah, I honestly think Angels could be
possible if he wants to be in California.
Not that because obviously he wants to win, but if there's no winners out there and he doesn't want to be in St. Louis, then he might just be like, whatever, I'll live in SoCal.
The Angels are so funny to me. They're the funniest organization in baseball. Now I'm on the outside looking in. It's so funny to watch them, man. What a joke. Oh man.
Yeah.
If they had Rendon and Arenado on the same team and they were like platooning them at third base somehow, like that would be the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we should trade Arenado for Rendon, and the Angels eat all the money on Rendon. And yeah.
What do you guys think about
the Rangers?
Yeah, I mean, Jung was like,
Yeah.
Jung took a step back this year.
I thought he was good this year. Maybe
he was fine. He had like a 99 OPS plus, like a 1.1 win player. Nato's better than that still. Not offensively, he was really bad, but he's much better defensively.
No, yeah, you're right. Jung wasn't as good as I thought he was this year. He's below league average.
And there's been injury concerns, availability concerns. Arenado kind of would fit into Texas's like older star-heavy lineup.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that could be a fun spot for him. He probably would hit better at New Globe Life than he has at Busch too.
Do you guys see what go ahead.
I was gonna say Houston would have made so much sense before it just made sense. He should have gone there, honestly. Arenado would have been great there too if they could get him to pull the ball again. Like he'd be awesome in Houston.
Yeah, I saw this in the chats. One that I wasn't going to mention because I just sneaky want to throw my story, but we'll say it's Arizona. I think could be really interesting. They don't really have a third baseman right now. Also, there is the Jeff Jones threw out an idea of he always throws out Philly, and the fact that he always throws out Philly makes me think there's something there. But he threw out the idea that maybe they swap contracts and the Cardinals take back Nick Castellanos.
Oh,
and the Phillies take on the rest of.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah,
I really like Castellanos
because then the Cardinals could reroute Castellanos somewhere. If not, then you pay him $20 million this year to be in St. Louis, and if he has a good year, then you trade him at the deadline in his walk year. So I could see something like that.
I mean, someone's got to play right field. It's not Jordan Walker.
I would love to see the Cardinals do. I mean, Castellanos was pretty bad.
Church. Yeah, he was.
He was really bad this year. But like, this is a guy that's been an above-average hitter pretty much every year of his career, and at times has been really good. It'd be really, really fun to see the Cardinals do something like that and just get a bopper in the middle of your lineup. It'd be fun. It'd make things more palatable. And I think you could sell it to the fans as like, hey, we got a guy back. Like you can point to this guy as like something came back. Because it's just I think it's going to be really hard to sell it to anybody that we made this deal and we moved a fan favorite and we moved a guy that, people actually like still buy his jerseys. They wear them. You're going to see a lot of Arenado jerseys at the ballpark even next year. And it's hard to say like, yeah, they traded that guy and all they got back was money to put in Bill DeWitt's bank account.
Yeah.
True that. I mean, Castellanos could do some things with Chip Carey commentating.
Oh, dude, that could be goated. Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Chip Carey could actually like harness that. I could see him just saying whatever terrible thing happened, and then Castellanos homers, and it's like, wow, we're really.
Miles Michaelis had another great start tonight as there's a drive into deep left.
There's an idea that was just thrown out. I'm trying to see if it makes sense real quick before I throw it out and sound dumb. Isn't Jordan Montgomery still under contract for the Diamondbacks? Oh, we know he went to they traded to the Brewers. Never mind.
Trade Arenado to Milwaukee for Eric Fetty. He's a free agent. I don't know.
That doesn't work.
But let the Brewers extend him and then trade for him.
Ooh, hey, that could be a fun offseason thing to do a trade tier list of Mo.
We already got something going on for all of those trades.
True. Hey, Robert, we do have a big video coming Sunday, which we already announced it publicly, but the first half we're talking about his trade history. But we could do like a tiers of like the holiday trade.
Do you have a sneaky F tier trade besides the Ozuna trade? That one's clearly F tier, but
yeah, there's got to be other F tier ones out there, but I mean, yeah. Anyways,
the Fetty trade.
You can say the Adolis trade because it's like you got nothing.
No, that doesn't even count. Adolis, everyone
DFA. The Rangers DFA.
Well,
him.
Okay, it's not to say that it's just, but for you though,
he's on waivers.
Okay, never mind. It's fine. This isn't the episode to argue about it.
I don't know. Anyway.
Hey, okay. Brendan Donovan.
No.
Extend this man.
Okay, we're in agreement.
Yeah, I love I love Brendan Donovan. I would say though, extend him because even if you extend him, it doesn't kill the trade value. Like I don't get why.
That's true.
There's no negative. There's literally no drawback to extending Brendan Donovan right now. And what it does do is it signals to fans like we care about you. Okay, like extending Brendan Donovan would be because I can't point to anything they've done in the last like 2 years to tell fans we're interested in you at all. Like they don't care about fans, it seems, and there hasn't been a single move that's shown fans anything. So if you extend Brendan Donovan, extend JJ Weatherholt before he takes his first at bat. Why not? They did it with Chico. Like, you have to take risks like that to get real bargains. And you might end up with Michael Harris, who is like a slight overpay now, but you might end up with the Ozzie Albies deal or something, or the Austin Riley deal, where you're like, holy steal, you know? Extend him, extend Mason Wynn too, extend everybody this offseason. They won't, but I wish they would.
Yep. So again, you look on Twitter right now and X, and I know not everyone listening is super plugged in on that, but that's where a lot of the Cardinal discussion happens. And there's a lot of people saying you're in a rebuild. And so when you're in a rebuild, you trade a guy like Brendan Donovan. I'm not disagreeing that that could make sense. But here's what I don't think people are valuing enough. I hear this thing thrown out all the time where it's like, do you keep Brendan Donovan or do you go get a foundational piece for the future? I'm going to be honest. If a team, like, but those same people act like Brendan Donovan is not a superstar. If that's true, then the opposing team is not going to be sending you a guy that they think is going to be foundational. Obviously, we know how trades work in baseball. There are guys who get traded all the time who no one thought was going to be a foundational player becomes one. That's what Joe Behind-Boom can do. I personally don't think Brendan Donovan, I think he's got good trade value for sure. I think he can get you some pretty nice pieces. But I don't think I think at best you're hoping that player becomes Brendan Donovan. And again, now I think people make the point where it's like you want a peak Brendan Donovan when Cardinals are contending rather than the mid-30s Brendan Donovan or early 30s. Okay, that's fair. But my counterpoint to that is not all rebuilds are created equal. The Cardinals do have young talent on the way. To Sandy's point earlier, the AA team just won the Texas League Championship. That doesn't mean they're going to be all good, but especially in Cardinals history, when teams have success in the minor league levels, that is a good sign of future success coming. I don't think this farm system is just zapped. It needs more talent. I don't think it's so zapped that you have to trade everything away from the big league roster.
It's a top 10 system right now.
I think people would probably argue more in the 14, 12, 15 range, but either way, it's not a bottom third in baseball, right? Yeah. I think Brendan Donovan's skill set ages well, where he's not a guy that's super reliant on power. He's got a good bat to ball skills. He's got good on base skills. He's a great defender of versatility. And even if the versatility starts to wane, I think you would expect him to play a solid second base or third base. Again, also too, I think we undervalue the fact, like, people are like, oh, you just signed some random veteran to sit on your bench. Well, guess what? Those same people complained that Matt Carpenter was sitting on the bench. I think, and like acted like they didn't really do anything. I know they had Goldie and Arenado, but look what happened when you had two of your best players who weren't. Well, okay, Goldie's a leader, but he's more of a quiet leader. Brendan Donovan is not quite the super vocal leader, but he's definitely more vocal than what Paul Goldschmidt was. There's something to be said about, in the lean years, having a player who is a core piece in the middle of your lineup, a really good player who is a leader and is a guy who's passionate about playing baseball the right way and passionate about growing as players and passionate about holding guys accountable. And I want JJ Weatherholt being sharpened by Brendan Donovan. I want Joshua Baez. I want Reinel Rodriguez. I want Ivan Herrera. I want these guys being like Brendan Donovan in those ways. And when they're ready to contend again in 3 years, and truly contend, not be a wild card team, but to be like a true team to be reckoned with, I think Brendan Donovan is still going to be a pretty good player. He might not be peak Brendan Donovan, but I don't think you're holding on to him and now he's an albatross contract. And it's like, why do we keep him around? I think there's real value to holding on to a guy like that. This year, prior to his turf toe injury, which turf toe, Joe Burrow, if you're NFL, is ruled out the rest of the year with turf toe. Brendan Donovan played almost 50 games with turf toe. Before that, he had a 132 WRC plus, 310, 379, 440 slash line. Since returning, it was prior to 2 nights ago's game, he had a 1,000 OPS, 205 WRC plus. He's a career 120 WRC plus guy. He's top 50 in all baseball and WRCs plus since he debuted. No, he's not a superstar, but he's not a complimentary piece either. He's that in between of, like, you're not quite a star, but you're way better than a typical complimentary piece. And I don't think those guys are more valuable in a trade than they are to you. I think Brendan Donovan is the guy you want here, and especially with those leadership intangibles. It'd be different if he's just a hired gun where you're just looking for the things on the field. I think he's a guy I think you have to listen on for sure. And if a team blows you with an offer, I get it. But I'm not like, hey, this offseason is a failure if you don't trade Brendan Donovan. I think he's the type of guy you want to extend and have around. Now, when it comes to Lars Nootbaar, I think that's a guy you shop. I know he's not as valuable as he used to be, but he's still valuable. Maybe Alec Burleson's a guy you can sell high on. But personally, Brendan Donovan's not on the table for me. Andrew, is he on the table for you? I mean, again, he's on the table in the theory that you listen, but I'm not looking to move him.
I think so. I mean, the Cardinals are stuck in this, like, weird area right now in terms of where they're at with just their entire roster. And I think that their roster is not good. I think it has a lot of holes. I think it's a pretty weak roster, but I think it's a very fixable roster as well. Like, you look around at this team and you look at who like people are saying are part of the core. And it's Herrera, it's Mason Wynn, it's Burleson. And then like those are the three guys that I'm seeing thrown out there a lot. I think there's like a fourth guy that I'm forgetting about. Maybe
it's mostly those three.
Weatherholt. But he hasn't come up yet, obviously. But then you look at like that's four guys out of the 9 in your lineup. Then you have Brendan Donovan and Wilson Contreras. That's 6 guys. I keep saying this. Victor Scott made a bad play yesterday. Whoops, that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm glad the Cardinals are eliminated, so we don't have to be on this episode with Sandy being like, well, if the Cardinals sweep the Cubs and the Mets get swept by the Marlins, then, anyway. Also, Shota Imanaga is going to be pitched tonight against the Mets, and he's going to blow up. So,
and Miles Michaelis had to pitch at Wrigley, and we know how that.
So who cares? It doesn't matter. Anyway, I feel like you're a star bat away from having a very good lineup because I think Ivan Herrera's developed into that sort of guy. He's hit a lot of homers this month. Seems like he's having a power stride. I don't know if that's real or not, but it seems to be because he had his struggles. He had to adjust. Now he's adjusted back. He seems like a guy that's really, really exciting, especially if you get him behind the plate. And you can fill out the rest of that roster with other guys that are interesting. Lars Newpark, you can trade for value. I think that's a redundancy on the roster, to be honest, especially if you have JJ playing second base. You can move Donovan into the outfield, Scott in center, and then in right, I guess you go with somebody. I don't know. I don't really know. Probably not Jordan Walker next year, but maybe Burleson. Maybe you sign a guy, you leave that DH spot open, but you have to pick a lane. And I think if the Cardinals are going to go into this rebuild, I don't think they should do it half-heartedly. I think they should trade as many of these expiring assets as you can. And if Wilson Contreras wants to stay with this team, which I think he's crazy. I don't know why anyone would want to stay on this team when you could go to a winning team. I don't know what he sees in the Cardinals. The Cardinals mistreated him day one he got here. He's like, I really like it here. This is a great organization. I don't understand it. I think he's crazy, but whatever. If that's what he wants, that's what he wants. And I think he's the kind of guy that you could have lead the team. He's got all that fire. Maybe sometimes it goes too far. And I think that's a guy that you could rely on to do that if he wants to be here. Obviously, if he doesn't want to be here, if he's open to waiving that no-trade clause, you trade him because that's a lot of money you can save. And you, I think, can get something back. But I don't think they're really lacking that kind of piece, to be honest. Also, some of these guys are getting older. Mason Wynn is entering his 3rd year. The guy throwing bats in Haichu is crazy, and throwing his bat at Brent Brown. But, I think you try to shop as many of these guys as you can. And I'm obviously, I'm a big fan of Brendan Donovan. We had him on the show. He's a really good guy, and I'll continue to root for him. Honestly, I've been collecting lots of Brendan Donovan cards. I don't think that'll change even if unless they trade him to the Cubs or something, then that would be a problem. But I'll root for him no matter what. But I do think that if you can get a good package back for him with 2 years left, I don't think I'm as married to that idea. And I think you could get things back that could really help accelerate this rebuild and maybe not be like a 3-4 year thing, but maybe by 2027, if JJ comes up, he's really good. Herrera keeps doing his thing. Burleson keeps doing his thing. Wynn is taking steps forward offensively. Then I think you got no payroll left. A lot of these guys are pre-arb, and you're going to have some of these other supplemental pieces as well. Maybe Sajasi, if you give him some run, he's really been hitting well at the plate over the last couple of weeks. You give him that opportunity to play every day, and he's honestly not been the problem. He's not the reason the Cardinals are out of the race. I do think that you can go and do that. I'm not as married to the idea of having that veteran clubhouse leader kind of guy. And here's the thing, right? You want these marketable star players. And you would think that the Cardinals would be smart enough to like market Brendan Donovan, but when you go into the team store at Busch Stadium, I've been in the team store a lot this season because I want a City Connect jersey. Like whenever I'm at the stadium, I like walk by and like see if they have like a City Connect jersey for a player that I want, because I don't have one and I want one. I think they're really cool. And all of the City Connect jerseys in the team store are Nolan Arenado, Lars Nootbaar, Jordan Walker, and Nolan Gorman. They're not doing it. They're not even that. Like
they got to get rid of the supply first.
Like, what are they doing? I don't understand what they're doing. Like, those are probably like Wilson Contreras. Yeah, that's a good jersey to have, but is he even going to be here? Like that? Like, sure, like that's exciting. But where are the Brendan Donovan and the Ivan Herrera and the Mason? Like, they don't have Mason Wynn. Like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, they're so bad at marketing their own team that I don't even think that's a consideration.
Yeah, I know. But again, I do think, to your point, like, yes, there's other pieces, but then you could flip it the other way to say, like, I do think they're a ways away in terms of especially pitching, because they got so lucky with pitching injuries this year. Like, just one or two more pitching injuries, and this fall.
Lucky to keep these guys healthy.
Okay, but I get that these guys are not the profile guys who get hurt, but it's still unheard of to not have a single starter in a rotation go down with an injury.
I mean,
like that does
basically.
Not 2 years, not even 2 years in a row, because they had Lance Lynn out for a while. They had Sonny Gray miss a couple starts, and then Steven Matz missed starts.
Yeah, because they didn't put Matz back in the rotation.
This was the first time since I think 2015 that they had 5 guys make. Well, I guess they didn't have 5 guys because between Fedde and McGreevy, they kind of combined. So I guess if you count them together, it's the first time since in 11 years they've had all 5 different guys make like 25 plus starts. Like, this just doesn't happen in today's game. And even then, it was still a mediocre rotation.
I think that narrative.
What?
I just don't. Because
what narrative?
All their depth arms went down. All of them. Like, I can't name a single depth arm other than McGreevy who ended up being part of the rotation.
But also, we're just plugged in with this. Like, that happens to a lot of systems. I'm not saying
every single Cardinals
did. I'm not saying every single one, but I'm saying most organizations have to deal with a lot of pitching injuries throughout the year. And so again, but most of those depth guys weren't like.
Who cares if Miles Michaelis blows out his elbow? It doesn't matter. Like, you're probably not going to do any worse. Like Eric.
Well, I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about 2026, 2027, 2028. Yeah. You're not going to be able to withstand those things right now at this rate. Yeah. You need more pitching in the system. I think that's fair. And actually, I think you do have the pitching, but it's not. You don't have enough that's close yet, because the guys who were close are hurt or at least didn't like Quinn Matthews. I'm still excited about, but wasn't the same this year, right? Like McGreevy's already in the rotation, and then it's like, well, Takeo Roby's out next year. Cooper Jerpy's out for at least most of the next year or half of next year. And then Eakshawn and Davis and Motts might be guys soon, but like again, they're not game changers probably. So I think that's where they're a little bit further. But if you look at the lineup, let's say you keep Brendan Donovan around. Ivan Herrera is a 130 WRC plus bat. You've got Alec Burleson, who's a 125 type bat. You've got JJ Weatherhole. And again, I think we're all really high on him. You can't expect that out of him. But if he's that 120, 130 guy pretty quickly, and you got Brendan Donovan, who's like, that's 4 really good bats in your lineup. And then they need to fill out the rest. And Contreras. So it's like, again,
7 in 3 years with the Cardinals. Way better than with the Cubs.
And I just think people act like they're going to be terrible next year. I think they could be at the pitching if they just let the pitching be what it is. And it's like, there's upside here and there's a lot of downside, and we'll see what happens. But I still think there's pieces that 2 years from now, especially 3 years from now, you're really contending. Now, yeah, a lot of those guys start getting into late arbitration or close to free agency, but then that's when you're hoping Reinell's up and Joshua Baez is up and these young arms are up. We're not paying $70 million to your rotation to be mediocre, but you've got like 3 guys in there that aren't making money. Like, it's just, you're replenishing with the young guys at that point. And like, I think of Oakland, Sacramento right now, or future Vegas. Like, they traded Sean Murphy and Matt Olson and I think another guy, and basically got nothing from those guys, but they still turned it around. Like, because they've got Nick Kurtz from the draft, and they've drafted and developed and traded in other ways. You don't have to just trade your entire big league roster when you start a rebuild, or your best players, and get talent back. And that's the only way you replenish it. I think some people are like, well, you gotta get a foundational piece for Brendan Donovan. Like, well, you could also just have him be a part of it. So again, I don't think it's crazy to trade him. I understand the thoughts of it, but the part that's rubbed me the wrong way is like there's people I respect that responded to me today. They were just like, there's no logical argument for keeping Brendan Donovan. I'm like, how's there no? That's not true. There are definitely.
I think those people also just think like you're going to get something for Donovan that you're not going to get. Okay. Like I see people that are like, yeah, but when I can trade Donnie for a number 2, I'm going to do it. Okay. Yeah. You're going to trade Donnie for a number 2. Like it's not, that's not happening. I love Brendan Donovan. And I think you said it right, where these people don't even like, they don't value Brendan Donovan and then still think he's going to get you a 2. Also the way they define number 2, there's probably like 15 number 1 starters in the league and like 25 number 2s. Like that's it. I'm sorry. Brendan Donovan is not getting you a top 40 starter in baseball. It's just not happening. Not straight up.
Even think of Seattle, which has like 5 of them. They're not giving up one of them for Brendan Donovan. No. Even with the surplus.
There's no team, like it just doesn't happen. I went through at some point recently because I got sick of arguing with people on Twitter about this. And I went through and looked at like the number 2s that have been traded in recent years. And it's like, it happens for overwhelming prospect packages. Okay. Like that's how Luzardo gets traded, right? Like a prospect package. Or it happens for like bad teams, but it doesn't happen for teams. Like you're not acquiring that starter for non-prospects. It's just not happening. It doesn't work that way. You're not getting that for Brendan Donovan. And the rare time you get like a player for player trade, like Pablo Lopez and Luis Arias, like that was a weird trade with some other stuff going on. But even then, like, I don't think Pablo Lopez is the number 2 starter, and he definitely isn't anymore.
I mean, also too, the Twins made a terrible trade, or the Marlins made a terrible trade there. They should never have traded Pablo Lopez for Luis Arias.
Yeah, it was a dumb move. Luis Arias also is not that good.
Yeah.
And I think Donovan's a much better player than Luis Arias. I'm not a Luis Arias fan, but I think it was a dumb move. And it's just not happening. Like, you're not going to fleece somebody. You're not going to get lucky and do this. And if you do fleece somebody, it's because you got lucky.
Well, frankly, at this point, if they're really rebuilding, like it just would be idiotic to trade Brendan Donovan for a current number 2. You're trading for the future assets. But then again, it's like you're hoping that guy can be that. And it's like, we all know, like, it's like would love. I still think the Jordan Montgomery trade made a lot of sense, but Thomas DeJacy is probably a bench utility bat. Like, I've seen people say, you got to give him in the lineup. I'm like, he's got to earn it. He's not.
Put him in the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, he could end up being a guy, but there's nothing so far that makes me think you got to clear that runway for him. And Takeo Roby, it's like, I still am really excited about the future of, but it's 3 years. It's going to be 4 years later by the time he makes his MLB debut. Like,
every prospect is a probability, you know? And like, I think the total weight of the probability you got back in the Montgomery deal, plus the 2 good years relief you got out of John King, let's not forget that. I think all that put together was great value for 2 months of Jordan Montgomery, right? Like all those, that the probability put together, you probably won in terms of like total value that you got, even though it hasn't panned out. Like, I think it's a great deal. And I think if you could put it back again, there is a world where Sajazi turns into a regular, and there is a world where Takeo Roby stays healthy. And in either of those worlds, like, you dominate the trade. Unfortunately, the Cardinals have had bad luck with both guys. Sajazi really fizzled out at AAA, and Roby can't stay healthy. But the point is, Donovan is not getting you a proven starter. I see people that just think the Cardinals can like ship him to Miami and get Yuri Perez or something. No, it's not happening. They're not giving you Perez. Like, none of these. There's not a single proven starter that's of even number 3 quality that a team would trade you for Brendan Donovan straight up. I just don't see it. And I don't think there's like a lot of top pitching prospects you get. And also, the Cardinals have acquired big pitching prospects before, and it hasn't worked either. You know, like, even if you want to go all the way back to acquiring Liberatore, his development was marred by injuries and ineffectiveness and velocity problems, and he was a reliever. And now, literally, how many years later are we, right? Like, Randy Arozarena has been in the league for like 7 years. Yeah. We finally see Libby break out.
To be fair, though, this is a different player development group. And year 1 of them fully being in there, you saw Takeo Roby be freaking awesome for the first time since he hit the Cardinals before he got hurt. And you saw, I guess Cooper Derby only pitched this year, but you saw Bryson Moss take a step forward, Ishan Henderson take a step forward, Brendan Davis take a step forward. You had so many arms in the system that were like, oh, they're more interesting than I thought they were. Now you got Liam Doyle and Tanner Franklin. So, like, again, if Bloom does go out and trade Brendan Donovan for arms that are prospects, I have higher faith that he can develop those arms, or this organization can develop those arms, than what Bloom did. Skeens probably takes Donnie and Nato. I know he's joking, but
if you throw in Gray too and eat some of the money, you'll get it.
Oh yeah, that's true. And get Livy Dunn back too. But the pager, like, I mean, Well, I guess also too, like I've seen some people say like Ivan Herrera moving to catcher. Now you got to trade some catchers. I don't think they need to trade anything right now.
Who are they even going to trade?
Like you don't trade Reinel because he's 19, and he's also like
Baez for what a bucket of baseballs and some.
Hey,
I do think Baez is worth more a bucket of baseballs.
Framing isn't a thing anymore.
Okay, that framing isn't a thing in terms of that you can't challenge it anymore, but you only have one. Like if you lose your challenge, then he could just keep framing you the whole thing. So like framing's not completely gone.
Yeah.
Well, you're just the only thing that's gone is umpire mistakes. Like there are going to be so many times that a guy frames something and the batter doesn't challenge it. Like, okay, yeah. Do you remember in 2023 when the Cardinals won because that pitch to Mookie Betts was like 5 inches off the plate and they just called him out for whatever reason?
Yeah.
Like, obviously that would get challenged, but that wasn't called a strike because the catcher framed it. It was called a strike because it was a dumb call and the umpire was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's going to get picked up. But I think players will challenge things on the black, and I think they'll get them wrong enough that either it won't matter, or because how many times you see a pitcher be like, that's not a strike, and then it's like, oh yeah, that was a strike. Or what you'll see is guys stop challenging, stuff right on the edge. Because if I'm a manager and some idiot loses two of I lose my challenges by the end of the third inning because my players are dumb, I would be furious. Like you need to have a challenge in the 9th inning. And so I think guys won't be doing that. I think you'll get dumb stuff out of the way. Like remember when Burleson had 2 called strikes against him in a 3-0 count against the Cubs with the bases loaded that were like successively farther off the plate. It's like, yeah, that would have been fixed, but a pitch right on the black, like I don't think guys are going to challenge that often. And I think framing will still matter.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's different now, Andrew, for sure, but I still think he has value.
He's also just like not a terrible catcher. Like you could do, Kareem and I talked about this the other day. Like you could do so much worse.
Yeah.
He's like a 3-win player over 600 plate appearances. Like that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see catchers get dealt in off seasons for stuff like that. And so, but even then it's true. It's like, I mean, it's not like Jimmy Crooks set the world on fire this year at the Major League level. And he wasn't like he had a really good end to the AAA season, but it wasn't that great from him. I don't know what we think his ceiling is. Bernal
Kelly, like
what was that?
Carson Kelly finally had a good year with the Cubs, but we're like 8 years into his big league career, and like he never did anything in St. Louis to warrant runway, and then was not good in Arizona either. Yeah, and we still don't know if Ivan's going to stick a catcher. Like I don't think they're going to do the whole we're trying it a month and then give up, but they might end up after 2026 be like, yeah, he is just not going to work, dude. But and Reinel's probably not going to stick a catcher, so throwing him into the catcher argument, I don't think it's early. I think it's way too early to say, well, he's coming. And then Leonardo Bernal, there's no point in rushing it. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he's up next year, but I'm also not going to say he should be. Like I don't want to put yourself in a position where you're like you got to make that move. So again, I think there's, and also Ivan Herrera is the kind of bat you're going to want him to line up every day. So if he's not catching, you want him DHing. You might do the 3 catcher thing then because of that. So you might have Crooks and Pies on the roster, especially if Ivan will have the flexibility to play some outfield or first base if he needed. Like they can play with things, but the only concern would be I would like Bernal to play the season at AAA.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
If you had to do something like if he and Crooks were sharing plate appearances at AAA, I'd be kind of well.
I mean, if one of them's DHing a lot, then I don't think it's a huge deal. But yeah, to your point, it'd be nice for him to have a significant time behind the plate. But so we'll see what happens though. But I think, I mean, one of the things in the chat we didn't really get to, like it is a weird offseason because it is potentially the last offseason before the lockout. So you kind of have that whole, like some teams might be uber aggressive this year. Some teams might try to offload money, anticipating that you've got this lockout coming. You also have the salary cap, which again, I think plays into a lot of things. And I think there's a lot of people who are hopeful you're going to add one. Mo's been clamoring for it the last year on his way out, saying baseball needs one. I actually agree with him at this point. And a floor, not just a cap, but a floor.
Well, what if, some of those mega contracts get too expensive? No, I'm just kidding. I saw that in our comments the other day where someone was like, in our YouTube comments, where it was like, let us dream about, all of these, like I think it was the person who was commenting on Dylan Cease, and he was like, yeah, hopefully the Cardinals can get Kyle Tucker and trade for Ohtani this offseason. And I was like, what are you talking about? Anyway.
It would be so awesome if they signed Kyle Tucker. Yeah. I know they never would, but like if the payroll got down to $75 million, which it could, why not?
Yeah. I can't wait for.
I don't like the thing is if they kept Donovan and just signed Kyle Tucker and then signed another starter and kept Sonny Gray, I think they could be good.
It's a lot of things they want to do.
I'm doing a lot of like playoff, like looking at these playoff teams. The Brewers and the Cubs are like the most fraudulent playoff teams that are like, other than like whoever ends up getting that 6th spot. Like those rosters are so bad that they're just going to get stolen.
Okay, the Cubs roster does not like it looked middle of the season. Have you looked through there?
That's
like
that
order looks bad right now.
Like remember when everyone was like, "Oh, Suzuki's going to be like his OPS is like 750." His OPS is lower than Alec Burleson. PCA is like has been the worst than Jordan Walker since August 1st. Like he's just been horrible.
I gotta pull this up real quick because I looked through their lineup the other night and it's like this is not the same offense they had.
They're batting a dude cleanup with like 70 career plate appearances. It's such a bad roster. If Horton is hurt, their rotation is going to be Matt Boyd, who has like a 5 ERA in the second half, and Imanaga, who's a luck merchant, and that's it. They don't have anybody else.
I mean,
love to see it.
It's so funny.
Bush is really good. And they just brought up Moises Baestros, who has like solid numbers in a small sample.
He's been batting cleanup.
But aside from those two, there's 0 guys with an OPS over 770. Like Horner, 746. That's actually really good from Horner, who's been hot lately. Happ, 763. Suzuki, 775. Kelly, 766. And I'm sorry, Carson Kelly's not doing this next year. PCA, 757 and dropping. Oh, it's been wonderful. Swanson, barely better than Mason Wynn. Okay, 712, and Mason Wynn's been hurt, and Matt Shaw's sub 700. Like this lineup has a bunch of guys that are fine. Like it's a bunch of guys that are a little bit worse than Alec Burleson. They're good, but they're not like they don't have anybody that's as good as Ivan Herrera in that lineup at this point. That's kind of crazy.
My point is like everyone's talking about how bad the Central is, and they might send 3 teams to the playoffs. So maybe the Central's not that bad. The Central's bad.
No, the Central's good. It's just the rest of the NL also sucks. Like the NL this year was just weird. It was
the rest of the NL field is like really good. The Phillies are really good.
Well, yeah. The Brewers are good. Whether you want to,
Padres are really good. The Dodgers are good if they, can figure out their bullpen.
I mean, the Cubs were really good for most of the year. They just have played awful baseball for the last.
But like all of those guys that got hot right at the same time at the beginning are starting to not be hot.
Great. And some of these just were not repeatable seasons. Like Carson Kelly is never going to do this again. He's never going to OPS 800 for most of the year again. It's just not going to happen.
I would be shocked if PCA got an MVP vote over like 7th.
At this point, yeah. When PCA was going to be the MVP, that was wild.
Oh, he was never going to be the MVP. But
there was one person that tweeted something along the lines of PCA is now the MVP at one point. I feel like we remember
when Ohtani left that start with cramps.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was But I don't know. The rest of the NL is pretty good though. Still, like
the best thing about being independent, Sandy, like us, is that you can't fire yourself. But
that's crazy. Well, look, yeah, the Central's going to be more open than people think. Like the Cubs are not this juggernaut team like we thought they were. I mean, I don't think they are. At least, yeah, they've got like some solid pitching, but Ben Brown is not good. That's big for the program. Matt Shaw is like fine. Some of these other prospects didn't have the best seasons, and I don't know.
But you do have Kate Horton, who's freaking.
Horton's really good. Horton's really good. But
I still think the Brewers are really scary going forward because they've got a loaded system. But
Andrew won't admit it, but the Brewers are just good. Like something's just happening there.
They're a good team. Like they have good player development, but I'm just saying they're limping into the postseason. They might start Eric Fetty in the playoffs.
Yeah, but that again, like we're talking about long-term trajectory and just the talent they have. That's less about they're like a fraudulent team and more they're just injured. I mean, like you look at their lineup: 122, 110, 122, 115, 116, 120, 117, 106 WRC plus is down the lineup, and that's like their quote-unquote weakness is their starting lineup. And they've got Jesus Made coming. They've got, gosh, I always forget the other guy's name.
Pena.
Yeah. I mean, Mizurowski, which we'll figure out what happens.
Mizurowski's so overrated, though. That is real. Mizurowski being an all-star is crazy.
I don't know. I think with young pitching, I feel like people like to forget that very rarely do they end up popping immediately. I think he's got incredible stuff still, so I'm not going to doubt the Brewers' ability to make him
being an all-star is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that. But I'm just saying, like, the idea of that they're just not that like Misiorowski's overrated. I think he's overrated in the immediate term, but I think long term he's still a stud.
Eric Fetty has a lower ERA with the Brewers than Misiorowski. But, I'm not ready for that conversation.
Misiorowski, though, like, it was just so ridiculous when they made him an all-star. That just was the peak of the all-star game not mattering anymore.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Kareem says he's rooting for the Brewers in the playoffs. I'm not rooting for the Brewers in the playoffs. Okay,
as a hater of the Padres, as someone who does not like them, when they throw out Ohtani, I was so mad. If the Padres make the NLCS, I will buy a Padres hat. And I will glaze Mike Schilt.
Oh my gosh!
Okay, I'm not glazing Mike Schilt because I had enough arguments lately. But I'm not rooting for the Brewers. Okay, I'll put that out there. There's no way in hell I'm rooting for the Brewers.
Hey, real quick, late plugs at the end here. Again, Sundays, catch that first half of the John Mozeliak trade history episode. We've worked really hard on that. Andrew's done a ton of work on that. It's been awesome. So excited for you guys to see that. Monday, we might be going live after Mo's end of career press conference and do the tier list. And then Tuesday, we'll definitely be going live after Chaim Bloom's end of season press conference in the vision of the future. This will honestly, there's over the last 3 years, it's one of the most important days in the Cardinals history lore of the last, the 2020s is Chaim Bloom presenting what the future should look like. And hopefully reinvigorates the fan base. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited for the future, but this offseason is going to be full of change. Sonny Gray, Nolan Arenado, maybe again, Brendan Donovan, maybe Lars Newbar, maybe. We'll see what happens, but we'll be here all off season long. Please join us for that. Like and subscribe. Helps channel a ton. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Jordan.